Hi, folks. Welcome to the Ivy Boys podcast presented by RebeccaSellsDreams.com. Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Banker Gun Decker, 314-369-9680. I am your host, Chipper Lewis, says it right there underneath me, at ChipperStrike3. That's my Twitter handle. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Joel Fry. Again, his Twitter handle right underneath him, Fry Sports Radio. Joel, how's it going, buddy?
I feel awful considering the Cubs are in first place. I've never felt this bad about a first place Chicago Cubs team in my life. And there haven't been that many. I mean, at the All-Star break. So,
Right.
all things considered, I feel awesome. You could be in third or fourth place in this division, which means you would be a game under 500 and legitimately in it.
Yes.
But you know what? I guess you got to take it, right? You're in first place right now, and there are so many years where you'd love to have the problems the Cubs have this season, but fact of the matter is, when you're only 4 games over 500, and you're in first place, it means a lot of meat was left on the table. And I think all Cubs fans, or at least most discerning or considerate Cubs fans, would look at long stretches of the first half of the season and say the Cubs underachieved, left a lot of meat on the bone, and should be up by 6 or 7 games. Now, that said, the Brewers probably feel the same way when looking at how
Right.
the Cubs are scuffling. So you count your blessings a little bit also, understanding the Cubs are in a position to make it back to the postseason despite having played very poorly for 2/3 of the first half of the year.
Yeah, and really quick, if you're watching us live on YouTube, go ahead and interact. Ask questions, things like that. Comment on anything we talk about. We will answer your questions on the air live. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And, in the beginning of the year, it was easy to say, well, they had 12 blown saves, right? I mean, you put Kimbrel in there, or, if you had a better bullpen, those saves aren't blown. That's 12 wins. So what realistically, you're looking 10 extra wins right there in the first couple months that the Cubs could have had. And, yes, they would be up by 6 games because of it. And then all of a sudden they get the bullpen pretty much fixed, somewhat, close to being where they want it, and the offense goes stale. And that's another issue.
Yeah, so about the bullpen, if people who look at just the sheer numbers that say Craig Kimbrel has put up so far, with an ERA over 12 in the first half of the season, even though he's only pitched, 3 or 4 games?
Yes.
He got shelled against Pittsburgh in a game that meant nothing. He just was getting a bit of work in, so that hurt him. Brad Brach, I'm not sure. So certain people you can check out on Twitter, and they will tell you that Brad Brach is actually having a little better season than it appears he's having because he has legitimate control issues, and those are glaring.
Yes.
And they kind of take up most of your memory of how Brad Brach has pitched this year. But he's pitched okay. I don't think I need to see him again. It feels like there are enough right-handed arms in this bullpen that Joe Maddon can trust.
Yeah.
You don't need Brad Brach in any sort of high-leverage situation. Brandon Kintzler isn't being used enough in high-leverage situations. I don't know if he's sick or what the issue is, but I saw a note from Jesse Rogers that he has thrown one pitch. He had thrown one pitch since Thursday, so he didn't throw any pitches against the White Sox, at least not until at the time of the tweet. So
right, which is frustrating because there's no argument. Brandon Kintzler has been the best reliever the Cubs have had all year.
Yeah,
right?
You could make that argument. Absolutely. I mean, Cishek would have a word for you, but
he would.
yeah,
but
definitely.
I tell you what, it's amazing how one whole year, one half of a year, completely changed your attitude towards somebody. Mm-hmm. Like last year after the Cubs got him, I didn't want him in those situations, but now he's the first guy that comes to mind. Like when Kimbrel came up and was on with the big league club, we knew he had the 9th. You knew Stropey had the 8th. Mm-hmm. But you did not know who was going to have the 7th. And it's a good problem because it's Steve Cishek or Brandon Kintzler. Or if Strop needs a day off or if Kimbrel needs a day off, it's good to have Kintzler and Cishek to fill those voids when somebody needs a day off. Because both of those guys could get you a save if they had to on a rare occasion.
And look, Kinsler was an all-star back in 2017, so you knew he had it in him, but he is pitching the best stretch of baseball in his career. So last year with the Cubs, when like you were alluding to, when he came over, he was underwhelming. That's putting it mildly. He had a 7 ERA in 18 innings pitched. He gave up 13 and a half hits per 9 innings. 13 and a half. His whip was a nice, healthy. Pat Hughes would call it a beefy 2. He had a whip of 2, and his strikeout to walk was 1.33. This year, he has a 2.04 ERA in 35 innings, so he is getting used. 36 appearances, I'm okay with that.
Yep.
He has a 0.821 whip, man. So you're 100% right, and a lot of that is because his strikeout to walk ratio is 3.88 to 1. He strikes out almost 4 batters to every one he walks. That is a huge deal, and that's how you put yourself in the circle of trust for Joe Maddon.
So you said he wasn't used. He wasn't used today, right? I mean, am I wrong? I was at work. I didn't know.
So I was at the Iowa Cubs game. I was following the game on my phone, but at a certain point, I went, crap, and didn't catch the last couple.
Yeah,
innings.
I was at work. I was trying to follow as much as I could on game day, but I couldn't. So let's just assume that he didn't get used today. All right.
Sure.
Let's just, for argument's sake. Could you look at it and think that maybe Joe knew how much he has used Kinsler, and that with the All-Star break coming up, this just gave him 2 extra days of rest and have him going because he knows he's going to have to rely on him a lot in the second half?
Kinsler did get used today. He threw 1 inning, gave up no hits, 1 walk, a strikeout. His ERA is now 1.98 on the season. The guy is phenomenal so far this year. So good for him. And yeah, if you want to look at it, he is pitching better than Steve Cishek. Cishek with a 2.75 ERA. But either of those guys, I feel really good about if I am a Cubs fan in a late game 7th inning situation where you are holding on to a lead.
Right. So going into the second half after the All-Star break, I'm feeling good about our bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling a lot better than I was going into the season. A lot better. Because you're going to get Carl Edwards Jr. back. And if you can get the guy that came back from Iowa and not the guy that got sent down to Iowa, that's a plus. Then that's just one that the more people like Carl Edwards Jr. and Kinsler and Cishek, Strop that you can use before Kimbrel just makes it where you don't have to use Mike Montgomery that much. Because he has been arguably the biggest disappointment out of that bullpen all year.
That's fair. I mean, Brad Brock, I feel really bad about. What? By the way, we have not mentioned. I don't think we've mentioned this name on the podcast ever. I am really becoming a fan of Kyle Ryan.
Really?
I like the guy.
Really? Do you think he could take over the is he the new Loogie this year?
He should be used as such. I believe earlier this past week in the Pittsburgh series, I think it was. Yeah, it was after the rain delay when Hendricks was making his return.
Okay.
And so they had Dylan Maples in, and I felt really good about Dylan Maples being in the ball game, which is strange because he has control problems, but the kid's special. His stuff is special, and I felt good about him being in a situation. He got taken out. Montgomery got brought in. I tweeted at that moment that he came in, I don't feel good about this. I disagree with this move. And I don't normally disagree with Joe bullpen decisions. That's just a lot of people will, but it's hard to determine who's going to. That's probably the hardest job a manager has is the bullpen, managing the bullpen. And Joe is B- probably at it, but he's fine. But that was one where I'm first guessing it. Do not feel good about Montgomery in that situation. You need a loogie. He's not a loogie. Could have brought Kyle Ryan in, or you could have just let Dylan Maples stay in and pitch to the damn guy. 3-run homer. Game is essentially out of reach at that point, and Montgomery is the goat of the game. So I think first guessing it was probably the right way to go.
I don't understand the quick hook with Dylan Maples.
Ditto.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Let the kid figure it out. He's got electric stuff. If you do notice that he doesn't have it that day, he can't find the strike zone, I'm fine with a quick hook. But when he is striking people out and just getting people out, there's no reason to pull him. Because he can get righty and lefties out because his stuff is that nasty.
He's a really talented pitcher. He's a guy who I feel good about him with the Cubs in the future. If for anyone wondering, he's 27 years old, just turned 27 back in May, so he's not terribly old. He's been in the organization for seemingly ever.
Seems like forever.
Yeah, no kidding. But he certainly is a guy who you can look at and go, well, he could be a guy in the future. So ERA this year of 5.63, but some of that he hadn't allowed a run this year until the game that I had just mentioned, where Montgomery allowed the guy that he put on base to score. So right. Maples is getting hurt a little bit recently, but I still feel good about the guy. And for his career, he's only thrown 18 innings at the major league level, but he averages 16 strikeouts per 9 innings.
That's
and
ridiculous.
You got to find a place for a guy like that. I understand his walks are ridiculous; they're unacceptable. However, he doesn't have the same issue at the minor league level as he does at the major league level with strikeouts. So, or with walks. So something's going on there, and I don't quite know what it is, if it's nerves or what. He's not great with control, but he's just got so much talent. You got to find a place for him.
Yeah,
his stuff is electric.
Yeah, I do. Sorry about that, folks. A little technical difficulties there. I was unplugging something and trying to fix it and plugging it back in, and you're going to hear it again in like 2 seconds. And again, I'm sorry about that. That was my fault. That was all my fault. I feel like Dylan Maples could be a huge part of this bullpen. He could be your sixth, in the mix with your 6th and 7th inning guys. I really do. Going down the stretch, I'm not sold on Brad Brock, kind of like you're not. He could have a better second half, turn it around, and make this bullpen even better. But if he doesn't, I think that's where Dylan Maples fits. I'm okay with Kyle Ryan over Mike Montgomery. I think he stays. So now we're sitting here. We're talking about getting rid of Montgomery. I think he needs to be out of the bullpen. I think his time as a Cub is over. As much as we appreciate him getting the final out of the 2016 World Series, that's something he will always be known for as a Cub. It's time. Just like it was time when Trevor Cahill and I can't remember this other guy's name around that time. Cahill pitched. That was weird. I can't remember his name. The lefty.
I'll find it because I am forgetting it too.
Oh, man. Wow. He was a big part. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do. I'll find his name here in just a second. But as it is, we'll
just go with it. I'll keep talking. But at some point, with players like this, it's time. I feel like Mike Montgomery wants to be a starter.
You're thinking of Travis Wood, by the way.
No, that's not. No, I'm not. It's not. I'm thinking of somebody else, and I can't think of it. It's killing me.
Is it Spencer Patton?
No.
Because he's a right-handed pitcher. Okay.
He was an older pitcher. He was a veteran pitcher. Had been around for a while. Came in with the Cubs around the same time as Trevor Cahill. It was not Brian Dunsing. Maybe it was.
Clayton Richard. Okay.
Yeah. It was just time for those guys. It was time for the part ways with them.
I can't believe Clayton Richard still pitches. He plays for the Blue Jays now. He has a 6.23 ERA and 9 starts.
Yeah,
so
he's not good anymore. The Cubs got great. Like, he was a rebound project, and the Cubs were the team that hit gold with him. And now he's struggled, and he's not on the Cubs anymore, and he's still struggling. The Cubs hit gold with Clayton Richards. They hit gold with Trevor Cahill there for a little bit. And it's just Mike Montgomery, they hit gold when he was in 2016, 2017. But the guy wants to start, and I think that really is weighing on his mind. And I think that might be one of his main struggles this year, is that it's a mental thing. And he wants to be that starter. And he thought maybe he saw a window with Tyler Chatwood, going down last year, not pitching very well. And then he was designated for the bullpen, and Mike Montgomery still wasn't a starter. And so maybe that's something to do with it. Maybe it's time to trade him, see if he can't go someplace else to start and turn it around. I mean, I don't want him in the bullpen anymore. I don't rely on. He's not reliable.
I agree. Now we're glossing over a big fact here, and that is the bullpen is borderline irrelevant if you score 1 run a game.
Oh gosh, absolutely, and that's what I was going to get to. I completely agree with you. I don't care who you have in the bullpen. You can't score 1 run and expect to win.
No, and with the exception of a couple of games this past week, the Cubs have been held to poor run production way too many times in the first half of the season.
Yes.
Now that the first half is over and we can look back at it, we can understand. Yes, the Cubs have scored the 5th most runs in the National League. Do the Cubs have the 5th best offense in the National League? I would say probably not. Without going down team by team and looking at what their offense brings to the table, I don't think the Cubs have the 5th best offense in the NL.
Even when everybody's hitting to their potential.
Well, that's the thing. It's potential, and potential isn't going to win you 99 ball games. Production is going to. It's exactly what Theo talked about at the end of last season. Production over potential, and your potential. Kyle Schwarber is a potential 280 hitter with 45 home runs.
I don't think he is though.
He is producing at a 230 level with about 32 to 33. He'll probably hit over 30 home runs this year.
The home runs, absolutely, but his average, he's not a potential 288 average. He's not. I think we overshot with Schwarber when it comes to his average because of the great eye that he has for pitches and the ability to work the count.
It's because he hit 330 in the minors. I mean, that's one of the big things. The guy hit 330 in the minors. He was Babe effing Ruth in the minor leagues, and they know, by they I mean Cubs brass, leadership, ownership. They know he's got that in him somewhere, but there just seems to be such a big struggle with him. If you look at his heat charts for quadrants and how guys are hitting in certain spots, low and in, he hits 130. He's a 130 hitter this season if you throw him low and in. And I can't remember the last time I saw him barrel up a pitch, a breaking ball low and in. He hasn't done it in such a long time, and that used to be something that it felt like. I see that using that term again, feels like, which is a much more potential thing over production thing. But it feels like he used to be potent in that regard.
Right.
And now he's not.
So would you be okay with him not being the leadoff hitter anymore?
I'd be fine with it. I don't think he's a bad leadoff hitter, but I mean, if Jason Hayward, I don't feel bad about Jason Hayward being up there. I'm not sure who else you would want to have.
What about Chris Bryant?
So Bryant isn't hitting second right now because he has said he doesn't feel comfortable as a number 2 hitter. I can't imagine he feels more comfortable as a leadoff hitter.
Okay.
So Hayward this year he's hitting 267 with an 816 OPS. He's a better hitter than a lot of guys whose names are much more well associated with hitting.
Bryce
One
Harper.
of them being Bryce Harper. And he also is he has a 110 OPS plus. So for those of you who are new to the show or don't know what that means, it means that he is average baseball player is 100 at your position. So if you're a catcher with an OPS plus of 129, means you're 29% better than the average hitter. He's 10% better than the average player right now at in right field, and that's the first time he's been above average as a Cub. He has been abysmal. Now, he's gone up every year as a Cub, but this season has just been a breakout year for him. And at this point, where he is mentally with his swing, health-wise, I'm not opposed to him being a leadoff hitter. He has a good eye. He doesn't strike out very much. He didn't strike out much when he was struggling with the Cubs.
Right.
His strikeout numbers, he averages way less than 1 a game. He is a contact guy. Granted, the contact is typically 4-3 ground out, but he's not a guy that you could find that hole in his swing the way that you can with Schwarber.
I mean, and you have to think that batting leadoff, you're going to see different pitches that you're going to see batting 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe those ground outs would go away because he's going to see better pitches. Because knowing what's coming after Hayward, you have Baez, Bryant, and Rizzo, and Contreras. You don't want to walk Hayward, so you're going to give in to him.
Yep. Yeah, you don't want to face Javi Baez. I mean, seriously, man, you don't want to face Javi Baez with a man on base either.
No.
So you're not going to want to walk Hayward.
Exactly.
Because Javi this season, his splits are. So we talked last week about all the Cubs struggles with men in scoring position, guys on everything. And then you get to Javi Baez. And this is a guy who, no matter where you put him, he hits. No matter what the situation is, he hits. For first pitch, his OPS is 1.066. That's first pitch, 1.066. In a hitter's count, 1-0 count, 1.091. 2-0 count, 1.429. He bats .430 when the count is 2-0. Here's the crazy thing. When the count's 0-2, he's batting .316 with a 1.053 OPS. He is the best hitter in baseball with an 0-2 count, and he has more home runs after 2 strikes than some teams have.
That is my favorite stat of this year, by the way.
Yep. With a full count, by the way, he's a 1.089 guy. I don't know how good that is, but if you have a full count and you're a 1.0, I'm going to look up here.
That's I feel like that's good though.
I mean, anything over 1,000 is otherworldly in any situation. There are guys who don't have any situation where they're there. So
Javi would prefer hit the ball than take his walks. We both know that.
He's always been that way.
And he's okay with striking out. Like he's what was it? JD said in a broadcast earlier on this year about Wilson Contreras, one of the biggest differences is that he's okay if he strikes out. And that's one of the big differences with Contreras, that he is, if he strikes out, he doesn't get mad at himself over it. And Javi's the same way. And that is the level of superstar. That's the level you need to take to become a superstar in Major League Baseball, is you have to know you're going to strike out. And when you do, don't worry about it. Just move on to the next at bat. Know what you did wrong and move next at bat. And Wilson Contreras figured that out. And Javi Baez has always been like that.
So KB, Chris Bryant with a full count, he has a 1.098 OPS. Very good. Why? Because you are more likely to walk him than do anything else. He has 50 plate appearances with a full count this year. He's been walked 27 times. He has a 620 on base with a full count, which is just incredible. That means that you're spoiling a lot of good pitches and you're not letting yourself get outside of yourself. Chris Bryant, by the way, he gets a lot of guff for his situational hitting. He's having probably the second best year of his career.
His numbers are very equal to his best year of his career.
Correct. He's really good. He's probably going to hit, about 30 home runs, which is where he likely is as a guy. He's a 30 home run guy. Yeah. He has the best OPS of his career, best OPS plus. Well, almost. He's right there. He's not going to drive in a lot of runs because of where he is in the lineup, and that's if you don't have guys on base, you're not going to drive him in.
Right.
And when he does have guys on base, we've talked about it. He doesn't drive him in. But he does
not
score
in the first half. Not in the first half.
Right.
I think he turns that around in the second half.
But he has an on base over 400. He's everything you could possibly want, man, out of your linchpin number one guy. This team, we're back to potential, Chipper. We're back to potential. This should be the second or third best offense in the National League.
It really should be.
Based on pure talent, they're number 5, and it's gotten them through so much. They're hitting a lot of home runs, but they're also hitting a lot of ground balls. There's so much that can be fixed, and it's just going to be up to the guys to fix it. You got to stay within yourself in certain situations. You've got to get the ball in play in the air. I mean, there are real tangible things that's more than just you got to want it more. Well, wanting it more isn't going to do squat. You actually have to apply real baseball fundamentals to it, and that is getting the ball off the ground, especially when there are men on base, because 2 outs are more than 1. I feel like that's true, that 2 outs are more than 1.
Is it? Wait.
Yeah.
Hang on. Yes. It is. And that's what's frustrating is the Cubs have the, what was it, fourth or third worst batting average with runners in scoring position. I think it's like 236 or 246, something like that.
And it's a bunch of trash teams around the Cubs, too. It's a bunch of really bad teams, and then the Cubs, who are, in spite of themselves, have a winning record and are scoring every once in a while. Yeah. Score 11 against the Pirates or put together an inning against the Reds, whereas you have like 7 consecutive hits or something. Yep. It's baffling, and frankly, it's more upsetting when that happens because you know that it's in there for this team. They have guys who have been taught to take an opposite field approach, and a few of them, like Baez, Chris, Rizzo with 2 strikes, these are guys whose opposite field approach is very good, and they seem to get away from it sometimes.
I've always believed that, and then Javi had his big year last year and is having a huge year this year, but I still believe this. The offense goes with Anthony Rizzo.
That's fair.
Rizzo is slumping. I mean, there's you look at his numbers, and especially in the last 3 weeks, he has not hit very well. And it's no coincidence that the offense has kind of gone stale since he's really gone into a slump. Mm-hmm. Rizzo is going to turn it around. I really do believe that. I think he's going to be back to his numbers, about 285. He's still going to hit his 30 home runs. He's still going to drive in his 95 plus. And I like I said, I believe that once he turns it around, this team will turn it around. Rizzo used to be one of the most patient hitters on this club. He rivaled Kyle Schwarber, I thought. And I feel like during this slump, he has gotten away from that, like you said. And because he used to, when he choked up, that ball could go anywhere. It could go to the opposite field, center field, and right field. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden now with 2 strikes, it seems like he's trying too hard. He needs to get back to slapping the ball when he has 2 strikes, like the Anthony Rizzo that we all know of.
So I'm going to put some numbers behind the slump that you had just mentioned. So in May, Anthony Rizzo was Anthony versus the world. He hit 355 in May. He slugged 688, on base 435. In June, he only hit 232. His power went away as well. He only slugged 394. That's the big issue, is him only slugging 394. Here in July so far, he hasn't hit a home run, but he does have a couple of doubles. He has a triple. He's doing better. In 5 games in July, he batted 316. He's batting 316, on base 435. So he's right back there where he was with the on base. He just needs to get the ball over the fence, and he's back to where he was in May. And for the record, in April, he was also pretty bad. He hit 228, but he did hit a lot of home runs, so it masked how much struggling he was doing. Because when he did hit the ball, he hit it really hard.
Right, and it's no coincidence, and this proves my point, that at the very end of April and in May, how good were the Cubs? They were good.
Really good.
They were really good. And as soon as Rizzo started slumping, that offense started going stale. It just proves my point right there. That the offense goes with Rizzo. It absolutely does. And the All-Star break, that's what's so great about it. So now you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You have 4 days off if you're not playing in the All-Star game with Home Run Derby. You have 4 days off. This is a perfect time, and I'm sure every team says this, and every person like us that does a podcast for other teams, like the Seattle Mariners probably do there's probably 2 guys that do a podcast called the
Safeco Boys.
The Safeco Boys, or the Pungent Sound Boys, something like that. It's a time to reset. You come out Friday and it's a reset. This is where your season starts now.
Yeah. By the way, I'm fully aware. Anybody who wants to email, I'm fully aware that it is not Safeco Field anymore. I was referencing a poignant moment in time. I could have also said the Sky Dome Boys or whatever. It could have been whatever.
Right. I mean, it's not like if Wrigley got rid of the Ivy for whatever God for reason, we would never change our name.
Right.
So
We sure wouldn't.
yeah. But this is the Ivy Boys podcast presented by Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Baker Gundecker, 314-369-9680, RebeccaSellsDreams.com. Okay, so yes, we are at the All-Star break now. What do you watch more? What is must-see TV for you come the All-Star break? Is it the Home Run Derby, or is it the All-Star game, or like me, is it the celebrity softball game after the Home Run Derby?
The Home Run Derby is more easily digestible in our home, even though there are no Cubs this year. And in the All-Star game, there are 3 Cubs starting.
Right.
So, or not starting, but there are 3 Cubs total, 2 starting. So, but with the new format, it is more interesting for, say, my wife and my daughters to watch with me. And we can see the clock. We know how much time there is, and the girls like that. Not girls in general. Don't get on me. Everybody, but I meant my girls.
Your
my
girls.
girls. That's what they're into.
Right.
They like to know how much time is left, and
Yes.
that's fun for them. So
yes, Joel's
Home Run
surrounded
Derby
by
in my
girls,
home,
by the
totally.
way, guys. Joel is surrounded by girls. Just so you know.
No, I can't be chauvinistic. I see how great they are,
yes.
and I can never be that. So, yeah. But for the All-Star game, I mean, it'll be on. It's your companion, just like a baseball game is. You can go in, you can grab some nachos or whatever. But in the Home Run Derby, you can't leave your seat if you want to see it. Yes. Also, I played the game where you can pick like the longest home run, who hits it, how far, your bracket and everything. I did all that. So I got to follow along with my bracket and see who hit the longest home run and everything.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that absolutely. I mean, the Home Run Derby, before I got married and had our daughter, it was an event. It was a drinking game for us. Like me and my buddy would sit in our apartment and we turned it into a drinking game. Like you pick certain players in each round, and obviously who went with every home run your player hit, you had to drink. And I remember one year I chose Mark Trumbo.
Ooh.
And the saying was, I'm getting drunk off of Trumbo. Because I think he came in second or third that year.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, I drank a lot that night because of Mark Trumbo. But, yeah, but now that, I'm married, kids and stuff like that, I still have fun with it. Me and my wife, we have, we have bets and we go back and forth. The Home Run Derby's fun. It's just fun. The All-Star Game's fun, too, knowing now that it's not for home field advantage.
Who do you think wins the Home Run Derby this year? Who's your money on?
I'm going with the guy who just went in. I'm going Matt Chapman.
Wow, I'm going Josh Bell.
No, he said he's going to go switch hitting.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, it is.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, it is. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the guy who just entered because Christian Yelich, I guess, hurt his back from practicing chugging beer or trying to practice chugging beer. I don't know. He's going to sit it out. Just like Javi's sitting it out because of the heel. He was in, and then he decided at the last minute, I'm going to go ahead and rest my heel.
Yep. By the way, folks, if you don't know who Matt Chapman is, get to know him. He is he's only 26 years old, and he's one of the bright stars in baseball. Has 21 home runs so far this year, 887 OPS. He's not as good as, say, Chris Bryant, for example, but he's still a really good player and someone who deserves your attention absolutely as a third baseman in the American League.
Right. Who is it? That mediocre third baseman in Colorado said that he is a better fielder than him. That Matt Chapman's a better fielder than him.
Oh, you mean Oregano?
Nolan Oregano, something like that. Yeah.
Sure, close.
Yeah. He said he's a better fielder than him. That Chapman is. He said that.
Surprising.
Which is crazy because I always give Oregano props that he's the best fielding third baseman in the game.
6 consecutive Gold Gloves to start his career.
But that's it.
He's never not won a Gold Glove.
And that he's dominated at Coors Field. But that's a whole other discussion that I get into with other people.
So wait, you get into discussions like that people say he's a good hitter away from okay, so What do people say as a counter argument when you tell them that he hits 370 at Coors Field and 264 everywhere else? That he has a 1068 OPS at Coors Field and 837 everywhere else. Where he goes from being a Hall of Famer, he goes from being Mike Trout to being fine.
To being okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be forever to find that. I think one of the arguments was that, let's see here. Some person decided to give me the average, like he took his numbers away from Coors Field and applied them to 162 games. Which, okay, now you're reaching. And he said, well, if you look at this, this, and this, on those averages, he's right there with Chris Bryant. And I'm thinking, that's great. But if you actually look at his numbers, he's not. I give numbers. And I use those numbers because those are facts. They are facts. I don't try to manipulate the facts that I'm looking at to get the numbers I want. Nolan Arenado is overrated in the sense of how he is treated throughout Major League Baseball. People claim he is a superstar. People claim he is the best third baseman in the game. Defensively, yes. At home, yes. Away from Coors Field, it's not even close. He's crap away from Coors Field. If Nolan Arenado were to ever leave Colorado, why do you think he signed the extension? Because he knows that if he didn't play 82 games at Coors Field, his numbers would be drastically smaller.
I'm with you. He has his career. He has a 792 OPS. I didn't know we'd go down this road, and relitigating Nolan Arenado's career based on what he does away from Coors Field.
Yep.
So a 792 OPS. Where does that put him? Who has? Okay, here are the players who have a career 792 OPS when rounded. Okay? I'm going to give them to you. You ready for this?
Yes.
All right. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. Tell me if this is the kind of group that you think Nolan Arenado should be grouped with, like if he was away from Coors Field. The first one makes me laugh. John Vanderwall. Jerry Lynch, who I've never heard of. Marty Cordova, who I had high hopes for. Here's a guy. Darrell Evans.
Okay.
Norm Seaburn, who I've heard of only in passing.
I've never heard of him.
Andy Van Slyke.
I know who Andy Van Slyke is.
Jim Lemon. Don't know him. And then a guy I have heard of, Bill Skowron.
I mean, away from Coors Field, yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. Away from Coors Field, he's John Vanderwall.
He's John Vanderwall and Andy Van Slyke.
He's Andy Van Slyke away from. All right, that's damning. But yeah,
it is.
Bill Skowron, by the way, is from Arlington Heights.
Hey, there you go.
How about
my
that?
uncle and aunt used to live in Arlington Heights.
Yeah, I had family in Mount Prospect until recently, so
nice.
Right along there.
Nice. I always said, not always, but ever since I started getting into this argument with Rocky fans.
Always. You said it back in the late 80s about
when
how
I
Nolan
was
Arenado
2
was
years
not
old
great.
in 1987. I always said, no, Nolan Arenado compared to his compared to if he's a Gold Glove third baseman, like we said, no doubt about it, 100%. And his numbers away from Coors Field, he's Jason Hayward.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Right?
You're not terrible. You're not totally off there. If you look at Jason Hayward like pre-Cubs. But
Yeah.
and then even this year, he is Jason Hayward.
He's Jason Hayward away from Coors Field. Best at his position defensively, but can't hit for lick when he's not at a mile above sea level.
Right. Well, that's kind of eye-opening too when you think about it. Like again 792 OPS for his career away from Coors Field.
That's my argument. And the fact that people want to, play with the numbers and try to make it out to be what they want. I look at the numbers. I go with facts, and that's always my argument.
By the way, at Wrigley Field, Nolan Arenado, career, he has played 23 games at Wrigley Field. He is a career 247 hitter with a 782 OPS. He ain't great.
No, he's not good. He's not good away from Coors Field. And Raymond, excuse me if I mess up your last name, Velez, is commenting right now on YouTube, saying that, we need to watch Nolan Arenado highlights and stuff like that.
Okay, fair.
I have.
You know what?
I get that. We don't watch Rocky games all the time.
I don't watch enough Nolan Arenado. But highlights, anyone's going to look good. You know who else looks really good in highlights is Addison Russell.
Yes.
David Bodie looks great in highlights.
Yes. Albert Almora Jr. looks like he's fast in highlights.
Yeah, isn't that weird how he's not?
Oh, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like Albert Almora Jr. should be the leadoff hitter. Like if you got outside of Chicago in the Cub fandom and people watch national broadcast of Chicago Cubs, they probably wonder why Almora is not the leadoff hitter.
Because he has a 74 OPS plus. He's batting 249, and then again, 249 is better than Schwarber. But at the same time, he has a 682 OPS. He is bad. That's why he's not a leadoff hitter.
Yeah.
He's not an everyday worthy player. His on base. So, can we agree that a leadoff hitter, regardless of everything else, in the new way that we look at hitters and just get your best guy, as many plate appearances as possible, your leadoff hitter should get on base more than 29% of the time?
Yes.
Okay. Then that is why I don't feel that Albert Almora should be a leadoff hitter.
Yeah. When you think of your leadoff hitter, your prototypical leadoff hitter, do you think stolen bases?
Yes, although I don't think of them as much now.
Okay, so a couple years ago, right? Outside of once Moneyball and all that fun stuff,
which was a while ago. But okay, so
you know where I'm going with this.
I do know where you're going with this. Yes.
Okay, Albert Almora is not fast.
Nope.
He's sneaky slow.
Sneaky slow. He's got deceptive slow.
He does. He does. I'm sorry. He does. He barely beat out a grounder that this shortstop bobbled a couple games ago. I don't remember what game it was, but he's slow. He is sneaky slow. He looks like he should be so fast. And his helmet comes off. I think he's trying to fool us with the bigger hair. So his helmet will fly off every time he runs. So it looks like he's running fast.
It looks like he's hustling he probably is trying his hardest. The guy he's a very competitive person, clearly.
Yes.
He just doesn't have that in him. He's not capable of being fast. So he has to manufacture speed.
So now the helmet flies off, and so does the headband.
Yes. By the way, do you know who leads the National League in stolen bases this year?
Ooh, give me a second. Let me think about this.
Think about it.
Jock Peterson.
No. It's Jared Dyson.
Oh, I forgot he's in the National League with
Yep.
the Arizona Diamondbacks, right?
Yes, his second year with the D-backs. 34 years old, Jared Dyson. 20 steals this year. His career high is 36. He might get that.
He very well could.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jock Peterson, for what it's worth, is not in the top 10. These are some ugly stolen bases. Talk about a statistic that has been devalued. Christian Yelich is second with 19, so he's on pace for a 30-30 season. Trey Turner, who I would have picked if you had asked me the question, I would not have picked Dyson. I would have said Trey Turner.
Forget about Trey Turner.
He's 17. And then you've got Colton Wong at 14.
That's sneaky, by the way. That's sneaky.
Yeah, that's a surprise. And then just to round out the top five, you've got Acuna, Fernando Tatis Jr., Yasiel Puig has 13, and then Starling Marte has 13. Another very fast guy.
Yeah. Albert Almora Jr. is not.
No, he is not.
Not at all. I feel like everybody looks over Fernando Tatis Jr., A, because he plays for San Diego, and B, Vlad Guerrero Jr. gets the bigger hype.
Yeah, you're right. Tatis is going to be a game-changing player. He's going to be a big deal.
I think he's going to be better than Guerrero.
Yeah, San Diego is going to be a terrific team in a couple of
Awesome.
years.
They get another starter, and they're gonna be right there.
Yeah. Hey, so we have discussed. So we spent the first 15 minutes of the podcast talking about the bullpen. We spent the next 15 talking about hitting. Last 15, we've kind of gone around baseball a little bit and just discussed a couple of guys who were interesting to us. I want to mention, you just talked about starting pitching.
Perfect.
How do you feel about the starting rotation going into the second half of the season?
I say that some guys have 2 weeks to figure something out, or the Cubs make a move for a starter.
Okay. When you say some guys, I mean, what are you thinking here? You can't DFA Darvish or something. You owe him $100 million.
Quintana.
You thinking trading Quintana?
You could, if it involved getting another starter. Somebody. Here's the thing about Quintana. He's a free agent after the year, so you're looking pure. The team that is rebuilding, that has that starter who is making probably a little too much that that team wants to spend. Quintana's the free agent. It makes sense. I had mentioned in a text with you, Zach Greinke. Zach Greinke makes a lot of money. He's making like $35 million the next 2 years. That's too much.
Yeah,
I dug into that. I didn't like that.
He's on a team-friendly deal.
Yeah, but he's a free agent. Quintana's gone after this year. Most likely, in my opinion, Quintana's gone after this year. So I feel like something's there. I feel like something might be there, maybe with the Mets. You know, they have the starters. They have Steven Matz. It's not going to be DeGrom. It could be Noah Syndergaard.
I think you're looking for more than you're looking for more than Quintana if you want to get Syndergaard.
I know, I agree, but I'm talking about Quintana's involved in the trade.
Yeah, and Quintana's been unlucky a little bit this year. His FIP, that's fielding independent pitching. That's what your ERA would look like if you removed all other factors that you have no control over.
Right.
It's 3.98. And for his career, it's 3.65. So he's a little bit worse this year, but his ERA overall is 4.19. He's getting hit around a little bit. His control is a little better than last year as a Cub. And honestly, I mean, I saw the statistic. The Cubs Twitter put this out. He has allowed 3 or fewer runs in 14 of his 18 starts this year.
Okay.
Or 14 of his 18 appearances, I should say, because he has 17 starts. So
I understand. I get it. I do. But you gotta. I don't know. I mean, what? You can't trade Lester. You can't trade Hamels. You can't trade Darvish. You can't trade Hendricks.
But the option it doesn't have to be trade somebody. It doesn't have to be.
But then, so what? You're gonna go 6-man rotation, and then come playoffs, you're gonna set Darvish.
So well, you can definitely sit Darvish in the playoffs, which is baffling. But you know what? The Cubs did it with a guy they're paying $25 million already. Jason Hayward barely saw the field in 2016 in the playoffs.
That's true. You're right.
And so they're not afraid to do it. You give the rotation, you give all that over to Madden, and trust that. I mean, he knows these guys. He knows who has the hot hand, and you will sit Darvish if you have to. Hopefully, Hamels comes back healthy in August. If the Cubs can weather the storm through July, if they can be 500, and I know that I said if the Cubs have fewer than 9 losses in July, which would mean they'd have to have a heck of a July at this point because they're 2-4 already at the All-Star break in July. They're going to make the playoffs. Fewer than 10 losses make the playoffs. Now I totally believe that's true because if you go on a heater like that for the rest of the month, while hopefully Milwaukee and St. Louis and Pittsburgh and Cincinnati struggle, then I think you're in the driver's seat. You're in the driver's seat right now. You're in the
driver's seat. You are. You just have to play. You just have to score runners when they're on. Just have to bring them in. That's it. That's all it is. You just have to bring runners in.
With you, man.
This is the Heavy Boys podcast presented by Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Baker Gun Decker. If you don't want to strike out and sell in your home, contact the MVP Realtor of the St. Louis area. Rebecca Lewis with Coldwell Banker Gundecker can answer all your questions related to selling your home fast. Her detailed marketing plan will outline her impressive online presence and a recommended professionals list that includes contractors, painters, home cleaning, and a home staging service that will keep your home at the top of any buyer's must-have list. Rebecca knows this area and can expertly consult you on your area's property values, information about housing trends, and how Coldwell Banker Gundecker will get your home sold fast. Call Rebecca Lewis at 314-369-9680 to get your home on the market now. Okay, so let's hypothetically, we're getting to the trade deadline. This is going to be our last topic. We're getting to the trade deadline. Let's say the Cubs do decide to go get a starter. Let's say it's Noah Syndergaard. What's the asking price for Noah Syndergaard?
For Syndergaard, everything. I would say, okay, Alzolay, start there. Alzolay and Contreras for Syndergaard.
Wilson? No,
Yes.
No, you say no. I'm sorry. I'd give him Miguel Amaya.
That's what I'm saying. If you call the Mets and say, what do you want for Noah Syndergaard? A healthy Syndergaard who has thrown 105 innings this year, and no, he has not been terribly effective, 4.68 ERA, but he's been unlucky too. His FIP is much lower, and his peripherals are only slightly down from what he has been the last couple of years. So, I mean, okay, what's your asking price then?
Alzolay, for sure.
Okay.
Miguel Amaya, because they need a catcher. They need a catcher for the future. You're not going to give up Contreras. I want to tell you Robel Garcia. I really do. And probably Dwayne Underwood Jr.
See, that feels like more than what I asked for. Because you're talking about four guys.
I'm talking about four guys, but I'm not talking about Wilson Contreras, who's an established starting catcher right now. I'm talking about a guy who's probably still about a year and a half away.
I'm talking about one guy who's 28 and a starting pitcher who is not middling, but he's shown flashes of really good stuff, but he's unpolished. So he's not going to be a guy this year. Might be a guy next year. So I'm talking about two guys off the 2020 Major League roster, one of whom is elite, but his defensive metrics are porous. You're talking about four guys, three of whom are probably going to be impact players on your team in 2020 or 2021.
Right, but Noah Syndergaard's controlled for a few more years, correct? Unlike Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah, and he's 26, and he has an ERA this year of 4.68.
Yeah, but somebody like Madison Bumgarner, who's a rental, I mean, you're not giving up what I said for that. You're not. I don't care. He's a rental.
Noah Syndergaard has never thrown his best season was 2016. He was 8th in the Cy Young voting that year. He threw 183 innings, and over the next two seasons, he threw 184. He is an injury liability, something you cannot say about Quintana.
Correct.
Something you cannot say about Lester.
Isn't that crazy? By the way, really quick side note, isn't that crazy? John Lester doesn't get hurt. Knock on wood.
Ever.
Like, he doesn't. Why? Why does he not get hurt? Is it because he's not a Max Scherzer or an overpowering fastball, stuff like that?
It's the same reason that Jose Quintana doesn't get hurt. It's the reason they like those guys, because he can get out of bed in the morning and throw at 92 miles per hour on the black, very little stress on the arm, does not let himself get hurt. He has thrown 32 starts at least in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive seasons and 9 or 10 of the last 11 seasons. He does not get hurt. With the exception of a little injury known as cancer, he has not had an injury in his career.
It's crazy. Okay, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And he's going to start 32 games again this year.
I mean, he's exactly what the Cubs... You got exactly what you thought you were going to get from John Lester.
Yeah, a World Series championship.
Yeah, but the workhorse that he is. You know how it is. Sometimes the people sign those big contracts, Alfonso Soriano and Yu Darvish, and they don't work out. They're not the guys you expect. John Lester is the guy that you expected.
Well, we look back on the Jason Hayward, crystal ball it for just a second, because we talked about what it would take to get, I thought that was a good topic. We both had good opinions on what we'd give up for Noah Syndergaard, for example. Let's look into the crystal ball. 4 years from now, Jason Hayward's contract is up. He is not going to opt out at any point during his contract.
He'd be stupid.
Will we look like scale of 1 to 10? How good a value did the Cubs get out of that contract after the 8 years has come to completion?
Oh man, looking back, and 4 years from now, at the contracts that have been signed since Jason Hayward by people that have decided to sign extensions with teams, and how big those numbers are, and the big free agents that come out, and how big those numbers are, that are well over $250 million. You won at least one World Series with Jason Hayward. Hopefully it's a couple more. Has he been the superstar? No. Has he been a Gold Glove right fielder? Yeah, he has. Has he contributed at some point during the season to get you to that World Series championship? Yes. I don't know how you can be disappointed about it.
I put it 7.5.
Okay.
I think you look back on his contract as a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, you can't be disappointed about it. There are moments that you can be disappointed, and that's what brings it down a little bit. But 7.5 is a good score. I agree with you 100%. It's still a good contract.
It is, and I'm kind of I'm still a just one before I die guy. We got one. The Cubs got one World Series, and he was a part of that. So
yeah.
No matter what happens for the rest of his Cubs career, I mean, he's going to be vetted at banquets. He's going to come back in 2026 as a member of the 10th anniversary team, and he'll be back in 2041 as a member of the 25th anniversary team. It's something that nobody will ever forget. So regardless of what happens for the rest of his career, he is a net positive as a Cub.
I agree with you. I do. They won a World Series. It's just like the Aroldis Chapman for Gleyber Torres trade. I don't care. I do it 100% of the time. They won the World Series because of it. Cubs don't win the World Series if Jason Hayward's not on that team.
Correct.
And it has nothing to do with the talk in the weight room.
I agree with that. Yeah, no, he's a I don't know if he goes down as an all-time Cub, but he's on a squad that will never be forgotten.
Right. Is Ben Zobrist an all-time Cub?
No.
No?
No.
You mentioned that, and that's the first name that went to my mind that I wanted to ask you. Like, is he? Because I thought he was questionable, but no.
By the way, good for Gleyber Torres. He's a 292, 88 OPS hitter this year and 19 home runs. So he's playing awesome, man. Good for him.
He's playing exactly what Theo and Jed and I can't think of the other guy's name.
Jason McLeod.
Jason knew he was. And that's what the price was for Aroldis Chapman. Was Gleyber Torres. I mean,
you go out and you do what you got to do to win a World Series.
That's exactly what you have to do.
Yep. Two-time All-Star. Good for him.
Yes, absolutely. This is the Ivy Boys podcast presented by Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Banker Gundecker, 314-369-9680. Okay, so as you can see written below us, and this is we're going to wrap it up after this. I have to do this really quick. My beer choice is there. Joel is at work. So he can't drink at work, obviously.
I'm in a corporate office environment, and I did not want to bring a beer in here and just chug it when no one else is around. So
I get it. I mean, I get it. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and do mine. Let's go ahead and start that music. Please start playing. This is awkward. Oh man, I think I did this last time. In
heaven there is no beer. That's why we drink it here.
Wow.
Do 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 do. That's the Iowa victory song.
Oh, okay.
University of Iowa.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, here we go.
That's where I was born.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Play. There we go. Play this for a minute. All right. Keep the music on in the background. All right, so my beer choice today is... Oh, there's music. There's singing. I didn't realize there was singing in this one. This is... I like this. This just put me more in the mood. Now I want a bratwurst or a knockwurst or something like that.
Nothing makes me happier to drink than words that don't make sense to me.
But now I want a knockwurst smothered in sauerkraut and mustard. That just sounds delicious to me. Anyways, my beer choice is Schlafly Brewery here in St. Louis. It is in St. Louis, outside of AB. This is the biggest brewery. They have several great beers that are really good. I chose this because it's more of a wheat beer. I've had it before. I love wheat beer, so this obviously is my favorite one. It's okay. I will say when it doesn't have a lemon, it has to have a lemon. There's like a tang to it, I think. I can't pinpoint that flavor without a lemon. You definitely need to have a lemon with this beer. But otherwise, it's a really good beer. I don't think I could drink 12 of them like I can with Miller Lite or Busch Light or something like that. You can't. It's not one of those beers. It's a very good comparison to Goose Island 312 Urban Wheat.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, I honestly could chug a 312, so...
I can chug them, but I don't think I could drink 12 of them.
No.
If my mom's watching, I swear I'm not an alcoholic. But yeah, this definitely is comparable to that beer. So I'm going to move the microphone away now. I'm going to go up and turn up the music as I down this beer. Cheers.
Alle Fremden bleiben ganz verwundert stehen, weil sie sowas noch nirgends gesehen.
No, that was different than 312 right there in the chug process. I'll tell you that right now. Oh, man.
Your face, it sounds like...
No.
You.
No, there was a difference. 312 was a lot smoother. That was not that smooth. That one stung a little bit. Whew.
Seriously, when you went, no, that's similar to my reaction when I put on my 12-year-old daughter's headphones and listen to the music she likes.
No,
I don't care for this. This is
not
very
good.
bad music.
Nope. Okay, so Schlafly's Hefeweizen Ale is not a chugging beer at all, and if you don't have a lemon, the bitterness is there, and it doesn't make it the most refreshing beer I've ever had. No, I give this thumbs down on this one. I changed my whole opinion on Schlafly's Hefeweizen. It's
my goodness.
It's not that good. That was gross. Oh man, that hurt. It shouldn't sting. It shouldn't burn as it goes down. It shouldn't.
No.
It needs to be smooth. You got to give me a smooth beer. That's why I don't like IPAs. I got to have the smoothness.
Understood. I get you.
Whew. Anyways.
Sorry, man.
Joel.
That's too bad.
Final thought.
This is a huge this is a huge time off for the Cubs. Not just for the guys on the field, but the guys in the front office. Theo, Jed, I mean, if you were listening or if you were on Twitter and you caught a couple of snippets of what was said by Theo in an interview or two this past week, he is borderline putting out an ultimatum to the team. Win or there will be massive changes. And he is not talking about process. Process is over. He's talking about results. His hands are almost tied by the fact that the Cubs are in first place. What major changes can you make to a team that, if you look at it in a binary sense, black and white, they're having a successful year. You're in first place. What more can you ask for? Being in first place by 16 games, sure, but that's not the reality this year. This isn't 2016. This is a more normal season where you have ups and downs and struggles and slumps and hot streaks. So I know that Theo is watching that team on the field. I know he has a lot of thoughts about how that team can be made better. Whether or not he can actually act on those is going to depend on what that team that he put out there, that he drafted, that he traded for, that with the exception of Javi Baez, he cultivated this team and put it out there, and they won a World Series. But now, are the wheels coming off? I don't know about the coming off, but it's not what he had envisioned as the team progressed. I don't know what he's going to do next, but it's going to be fascinating.
Okay. That's good. That's good. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. They're going to make a big move. Is it for a second baseman? We don't know. Starter? We don't know. You would assume that it's probably not for back end bullpen, but maybe a middle relief guy. It definitely, something's going to happen. We know it. Theo and Jed know what they're doing. And they know what they need, and they're okay. Like you said, they're looking for results now. It has nothing to do with process. I like that. That's good. My final thought is, so it has nothing really it doesn't have to do with the Cubs per se. The other day, I got a text message that I lost a friend. He was older, and he was a customer of mine. But he was a huge Chicago fan. He grew up on the South Side, but he was a Cubs fan. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks. This guy was great, and he died too soon, way too soon. I'm talking he was probably in his 60s. He died unexpectedly one night, and it's tough. It is, and him and we would text almost every day about the Cubs or the Bears, and one of the hardest parts was when I found out that he passed. Was also the day the Cubs called up Robel Garcia, and me being just thinking like I was, actually started a text message to him saying that the Cubs called up Garcia. And I realized it before I sent it, and I looked at my wife at the time, and I started tearing up because I knew that I knew that he wasn't going to read that if I sent it, and it was. It's tough. It's tough when you lose somebody. It's tough when you lose somebody who's close to you. Like I said, he was a customer of mine where I work, and we just got closer throughout the time that we were, interacting and stuff like that. And it's safe to say that I was probably the closest to him at that store, and that's why I'm wearing my Khalil Mack jersey tonight. Like I said, he was a huge Cub fan, but he was a bigger Bear fan. And when the Bears got Khalil Mack, the smile on his face when that happened, I will never forget it. And he had his jersey before I did. I remember that. And so I'm wearing this in honor of him today. During this, that is why I'm wearing the jersey tonight. So, anyways, that's my final thought.
That's beautiful, man. I'm really sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Yeah, it's tough. It really is. But we move on, just like in anything else, just like in baseball. You move on from the first half now. Second half is going to start on Friday. You reset and you go. And that's what the Cubs have to do. It's simple. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? Like, it's so easy to say, but actually doing it is a lot harder. So, anyways, folks, follow us on Twitter at The Avi Voice. Follow me on Twitter at ChipperStrike3, just the number 3. Follow Joel on Twitter at Fry Sports Radio. Like us on Facebook. Like and subscribe to this page, the YouTube page, please. That way you can get notifications when I post a video or when Joel posts a video of his fry foods. Very excited for that one. This is where a lot of our content's going to be right now. We're focused on the YouTube page, so definitely like and subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you can check that stuff out. And you know when we post. Also, you also know when we go live for a podcast. Head over to the website, theavidvoice.com. Joel has his blogs over there. Check them out. I randomly do a blog. It doesn't happen all the time for me. So when it does, it must be something important. But right? I mean, the Cubs signed Kimbrel, I write a blog. It's things like that. So I'm maybe August 1st. Look for a blog from me. That might happen. But Joel's trying to put one out every week. They're great. Check them out. Right, Joel?
It's tough. The week of the 4th, very difficult. I was down in Missouri for 4 days and just got back last night. And then today we went to a ball game. So my apologies for not getting one out this week.
It happens. It happens. We have the YouTube channel because for that,
That's
at least
true.
we're putting content out, right? That's the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
People hear our voices, no matter if it's reading or watching this. But anyways, website's there. If you like the way your website looks, you guys know the drill from now. If you've been listening to us, you know what to do here. Go to the bottom page. You can see Bob Marufo's name right there. Click it. That takes you to bobmarufo.com. If you need anything done, like the website, our website, if you want apparel like what I'm wearing right here on my hat, anything, shirts, logo designs, it's bobmarufo.com, bobmarufo.com, bobmarufo.com. If you want a YouTube page like this, Bob and Vince, who put this together, we wouldn't be here without them. Check them out. Also, you see all here it says how we're available on YouTube, on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play Music. Well, guess what? Bob and Vince have their own podcast on those also. It's called Beyond the Cube, the best podcast in the 815. Bob and Vince do their own podcast. It's awesome. Joel, I think it's about time that you get on. Maybe we both should go on the podcast. Bob and Vince, I know you're listening right now. I feel like Joel and I need to come onto this. Do you agree, Joel?
Let's make it happen, Captain.
Let's make it happen, boys. Come on, Bob and Vince. We're waiting for an invite. We're ready to talk Cubs baseball with you guys on the best podcast in the 815, Beyond the Cube. I'm ready. So anyways, but yeah, that's it for us, folks. I'm not forgetting anything, am I? Rebecca
No, not
Lewis,
at all.
Coldwell, Binger, Gundecker, but you guys know that. Not really forgetting anything. Okay, good. That's good. I feel like it was a good episode. Anyways, thanks so much for listening, folks. We appreciate the support, and we will see you next episode. Bear with me.